And he also qualifies for that grand prize too, which is a walk-on.
That's me, a small, naive, yet well-traveled little poppy. That's my brother. He was always getting into trouble. Some might say fearless, I would just say stupid, but that's besides the point. These are my parents, a Romanian refugee married to a cornhusker from Lincoln, Nebraska. Random, I know. Since I was 2 months old, my brother and I have been lugged around the world, taken on adventures I never wanted to venture on. I wanted the luxury travel I saw on TV and magazines and all the photo albums of my friends and their family vacations. But no, my parents wanted to stay in homestays, off the beaten path, sometimes in unknown and impoverished little towns and villages across the world's countrysides. They were real adventures. They wanted the local experience, but I was afraid. Why was I afraid?
Why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here, referring to African countries? And Haiti, the president then went on to talk about how they needed to bring in more people from places like Norway.
It's no surprise to anyone that some people from wealthier parts of the world tend to have a lot of misconceptions and a negative outlook on less fortunate areas. With media like this, people tend to avoid certain places when they travel. That's me. Aged a bit, of course, but I'm no longer afraid, and actually, I prefer this type of traveling over the luxury that I wanted as a kid. This is San Jacinto, a small town in Chiquimula, Guatemala. These are some homes of locals in this village. They've welcomed us into their home and are showing us around.
Really cool to come and see, and they actually also have a farm here, so everything that they eat is grown here and they take care of, so it's pretty cool, and they're going to go show us around what it looks like on the inside.
Guatemala has the biggest economy in Central America, but has the highest inequality rates and some of the worst poverty, malnutrition, and maternal child mortality rates in the region, especially in rural and indigenous areas.
¿Te gusta mucho cocinar?
Pues dice que a mí me gusta. Ajá, me gusta cocinar, mire usted. Ajá.
¿Y ahorita qué va a preparar?
Ahorita frijolitos en el juego. Sí.
Tortillas?
Ahí compré mis tortillitas fritas para las.
More than half of the population is below the national poverty line, and 23% of the population lives in extreme poverty.
La mayoría de las personas acá en Guatemala que están en esta situación por la económica, ellos generalmente cosechan algunos granos básicos o hacen crecer o engordar animales para luego venderlos y ellos poder comer. Generalmente ellos aquí solo comen maíz y frijol, no tienen opción de comer otras cosas debido a la economía, porque ellos también necesitan hacer dinero con los animales para venderlos, ya sea los huevos, la carne de los animales o animales en sí, para poder pagar luz, agua u otros servicios que ellos requieren para poder sobrevivir.
So it's crazy. What she's saying is that they do have a farm out here, but they don't actually eat any of the animals, any of the vegetables that they grow. They only eat the beans, the tortillas, and corn because they have to sell everything else. And so that's all they get to keep for themselves. So it's kind of sad because they do have all this available, but they need to make money to be able to have this house, to be able to have electricity, to have everything else.
Here's a chart showing populations below the poverty line according to country. In this chart, Guatemala is ranked 11, right after Congo and Zambia, and right before Haiti and Lesotho. Now, these kind of charts are not always that accurate, so here's another graph, demonstrating the same thing, but Guatemala is ranked 13. Either graph you look at, Guatemala is still the largest population under the poverty line in the Western Hemisphere. It should be noted, though, that countries like Venezuela and Nicaragua, whose information is not up to date, are currently undergoing severe national turmoil. Weirdly enough, Turkmenistan is ranked best on both graphs, but one is out of 139 countries and another one out of 171. I'm from the US, so I wanted to see where we ranked. We are 103 at 15.1%. Now, what I thought was even more interesting is currently I live in Indonesia, and they're ranked 116 at 10.9%. Now, I know there's more people living in the US, but that's not that far off. And then I looked at China, a country I recently lived, and they're ranked 136 at 3.3%. Taiwan at 138, 1.5%.
So they've had this house for 22 years and there are 10 people living here. This family, this couple has 8 kids, and so 6 of them sleep in this bedroom here, and then I believe there's another bedroom down there. So here's one of the rooms. 6 people sleep in here. So they share everything.
Nearly 1/2 of Guatemala's children under age 5 are chronically malnourished, one of the highest malnutrition rates in the world.
So you see these containers on the floor? These are used for pesticide. So you have to clean them well before you fill them up with water. So you take a risk when you use them to keep, there your water that you're gonna drink. You know?
So this used to have pesticides in it.
These used to have pesticide in them. Now they just have water.
Why?
The only way they can keep
it?
the water safe, in quotes.
And that you said they collect rainwater?
Yeah, when there is a drought, they can collect water from rain. Esa es agua de lluvia, ¿verdad?
Sí, agua.
Water from rain.
Para tomar.
This is smart. Yeah, for drinking, cooking, washing the dishes. Yeah, there are many more on the floor, as you can see.
Oh wow. Yeah. Oh, este maíz. Corn. Okay. Beans.
Tortillas, chichitos o chepes.
Looks like adobe to me.
But why am I telling you this? Why am I showing you this? Because it's important to see and visit places like these.
Es la lluvia. Para beber. Para usar a la cocina.
Exacto.
Wow. So here is the water from the rain that they collect, and this is what they will sometimes drink and then use for other things like cooking and, you know, everything they could need for water.
There's only so much we can learn from books and what we hear on the TV or see on the internet. Nothing truly sinks in and feels real until we see it in person, with our own eyes, and experience it for ourselves. We discover more about people this way.
This is where they wash the dishes, and they also do their laundry over here. Jordan's saying the same thing.
One main lesson we learn is that just because these areas may be impoverished, it doesn't mean they're dangerous, even though maybe the media and the mainstream travel industry likes to say otherwise.
And again, this is another sink for them to wash their dishes and also to clean their clothes. Esa es la lluvia. ¿Está bien? Okay. And this is also rainwater that they will, para beber, para...
No, solo para lavar.
Solo para lavar. This is just used, this is also the rainwater, but it's only for washing your hands and cleaning their clothes here.
Poverty doesn't mean danger. It's only an economic status, but so often people around the developed world are so hesitant to be exposed to the poor. But what people learn when they're actually confronted with the reality of nations labeled impoverished is just how happy people in some of the most dire situations in the world can be.
Dile adiós a ella. Adiós.
Adios!
Every breath is, every breath temporary.
Don't fall out.
Every breath is, every breath temporary. Every breath is, every breath temporary. Every breath is.
We realize how a small gesture can have such a big impact. We realize that money doesn't have to correlate with happiness.
This is Ailey, and she learned how to use the camera today. She was taking a lot of amazing pictures.
Ah, ¿cuántos años tienes? 6 años solamente. Muy grande, ¿no? And that a lack of money doesn't correlate with dangerous situations. Especially when you meet young kids. I think that's when you realize just how similar we all are. Because they don't look at you any differently. They look at you as another human being, just like they are.
Every breath is, every breath temporary. But you never give up on me. When I'm about to break, you hold me. When I'm about to break, you never give up on me. When I'm about to break, you hold me. When I'm about to break.
If you had asked me years ago, when I was that little kid dancing around the room, whether I'd visit Guatemala or any country like it, I probably would have freaked out and said no. If you had asked me just even 2 years ago if I wanted to visit some of the world's impoverished countries, I would have hesitated. If you ask me right now if I want to visit an impoverished country, I'd say, why the hell not? Because poor doesn't mean ugly. Impoverished doesn't mean dangerous. It doesn't mean they are any less or any better than us travelers or people from luckier parts of the world. It's important to see the world for what it truly is and not live in this fantasy that every place is perfect and beautiful. Every place can be beautiful, but it's the way you perceive it that makes the difference.
I came on the trip to experience something I've never been to a third world country before, and this is just a way for me to broaden my view of the world. Sometimes when you're stuck in a place where you've got everything you need, you forget how difficult life can be without all the luxuries that we've got. So I would definitely say that it's an experience that you may or may not be ready for if you do it, but you definitely learn a lot about yourself and other people and about the world.
I would say one of the most eye-opening experiences I've ever had in my entire life. I loved working with the kids. That's my favorite part by far, was the kids. And then, you know, it's really eye-opening. It really puts perspective on life, which I think everyone could have, you know. And would I do it again? In a heartbeat. Nothing would stop me from doing this again. Just a matter of finding time. So I would suggest to any and everyone to take this trip and really get a different dose of what life is like for people that aren't as fortunate as most of us are. And that's something that I think is really important. It makes you really make perspective on life and be appreciative of what you have.
We saw families that were living 6 in a room. We saw people that didn't have much but was still happy and still smiling. Ultimately, it's been very humbling to me. Truly humbled, and I hope that more people will see this video and take a chance and come out and do something to learn more about other cultures. And worse, it will be very humbling and useful to you, and at best you'll have a great time and you'll have memories and friendships that will last a whole lifetime.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this wasn't the most exciting video, but I hope you gained something from it just like I did, just like we all did on this trip. So thank you for watching, and next week will be a bit happier. It's going to be more about why you should visit Guatemala and all the great things it has to offer. I want to say thank you again to Vivid Roots for organizing this trip, and this week I want to thank my Patreon, Anwar Sadiq.
Let me start over again because I touched my nose. Poppy's looking at me from far over there. Oh, Poppy, stop looking at me. All right.
He's in this video quite a bit. I want to thank you because recently I shared on Patreon I've been going through kind of a hard time. A lot of you guys have reached out to me, so thank you. And Anwar, you've just really gone the extra mile and been a good friend, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being there when, you know, times are rough. So thank you for being my Patreon.